First contact protocol. The obsidian sky above New Mexico glittered with stars as Dr. Maya Reyes adjusted her observatory's radio telescope. At 34, she had already revolutionized astrophysics with her theoretical work on interstellar communication. Tonight, however, theory was becoming reality in ways she never imagined. Systems picking up something strange, she murmured, brushing a strand of dark hair from her face. The signal pattern displayed on her monitor pulsed with mathematical precision, too perfect to be natural. Her colleague, Dr. Samir Patel, leaned over her shoulder. "That can't be right. Run the analysis again." "I've run it 7 times, Maya replied, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "It's not random noise. It's not a pulsar. It's a message, Samir." Thousands of light years away, Commander Zorak stood on the bridge of the Nexian warship Devastator. His tall, muscular frame was encased in armor that seemed to absorb the starlight around it. The planet Earth was but a speck on his view screen, a blue marble hanging in the void. "Final preparations are complete." "Commander," reported his second-in-command. "Travisine, the Armada stands ready." Zorax nodded, his features sharp and predatory. "The intelligence reports confirm these humans are primitive. They've barely left their own atmosphere." "Yes, Commander. Their technology is centuries behind ours. The conquest should be swift." Zorax frowned slightly. Something felt wrong. The Nexian Empire had conquered 17 worlds across 3 galaxies. Yet none had been as isolated as Earth. It seemed almost too easy. Back on Earth, Maya's discovery had triggered an emergency meeting at the Pentagon. She sat at a long table surrounded by military officials and government scientists, all wearing expressions of controlled panic. General Helena Rodriguez, head of the United States Space Command, stood at the front of the room. "Dr. Reyes, explain what we're dealing with." Maya pulled up her data. "The signals originate from what appears to be a fleet of vessels approaching our solar system. Based on their speed and energy signatures, they utilize technology far beyond our public capabilities." She emphasized the word public and exchanged a meaningful glance with the general. Rodriguez nodded almost imperceptibly. "Then it's time." In a classified facility beneath the Antarctic ice, engineers worked frantically to activate systems that had been developed in secret for decades. Dr. Victor Chen, the project director, authorized the final protocols with trembling hands. "Aurora Shield coming online," he announced as massive generators hummed to life. Around the planet, hidden installations began powering up technologies reverse-engineered from a crashed alien vessel in 1947. The true Roswell incident that only a handful of people knew about. On the Devastator, Zorax was interrupted by an urgent communication from the advanced scout ships. "Commander, we've detected energy signatures from the planet. They're unexpected." "Explain," Zorax demanded, his violet eyes narrowing. "The humans appear to have defensive capabilities we weren't aware of. Our intelligence may be outdated." For the first time in his long military career, Zorax felt a flutter of uncertainty. He dismissed it quickly. "Proceed as planned. Launch the probe." As the Nexian probe entered Earth's atmosphere, Maya stood on the roof of her observatory watching the night sky. Her secure phone buzzed with a message from General Rodriguez. "First contact protocol initiated." Maya took a deep breath. Humanity had prepared for this moment in secret for generations. The aliens thought they were launching a surprise attack, but Earth had been expecting them for over 70 years. "You're too late," she whispered to the stars. "We're distant lights, not stars at all. We're beginning to move in formation. We're ready for you." In his private quarters, Zorax reviewed the history of the Nexian conquests, searching for any precedent for what he was about to face. He found none. As he prepared for the invasion, he couldn't shake the feeling that this mission would change everything, not just for Earth, but for him personally. What he didn't know was that among his crew was someone with her own agenda, someone who would soon challenge everything he believed. The invasion of Earth had begun, but not as anyone expected. The ambassador's gambit Elijah. Kendrick straightened his tie as the diplomatic shuttle approached the Nexian command vessel. At 37, he had navigated delicate negotiations in war zones across Earth, but never anything like this. Through the viewport, the massive alien ship loomed like a predatory sea creature, all sharp angles and gleaming metal. "Remember your training," General Rodriguez's voice crackled through his earpiece. We need to buy time for the Aurora shield to reach full capacity. Understood, Elijah replied, his calm voice belying his racing pulse. I'll keep them talking. The shuttle docked with a metallic clang. As the airlock cycled open, Elijah took a deep breath and stepped into history. 3 Nexian guards escorted him through corridors of shifting geometric patterns. They were imposing figures taller than humans with skin that seemed to shimmer between blue and gray depending on the light. Finally, they arrived at a vast chamber. Commander Zorax stood on a raised platform, his posture rigid with authority. Welcome to the Devastator, human. I am Commander Zorax of the Nexian Empire. Elijah Kendrick, representing the United Earth Coalition. Elijah replied with a diplomatic bow. We come seeking peaceful dialogue. A figure stepped from the shadows beside Zorax. A woman, or at least woman-like in form, with features that blended human and Nexian characteristics. Her skin had a subtle blue luminescence, but her eyes were startlingly human. This is Lyra, my strategic advisor, Zorax announced. She will assist in our negotiations. Lyra's gaze met Elijah's with unexpected intensity. Ambassador Kendrick, she said, her voice melodious with an accent he couldn't place. Your arrival is most intriguing. Back on Earth, Maya rushed through the underground facility in Antarctica, where Dr. Chen guided her through security checkpoints. The shield is at 63% capacity, Chen explained as they entered the central control room. We need another 48 hours before it can repel a full-scale attack. Elijah needs to keep them occupied, Maya said, studying the holographic display of Earth's defensive grid. If they realize what we're doing, Chen nodded grimly, then we reveal our second line of defense. On the Devastator, Elijah found himself in a private meeting with Lyra. The chamber featured a viewing window that framed Earth perfectly, a blue jewel against the void. Your world is beautiful, Lyra said, standing close enough that he could detect a faint floral scent unlike anything terrestrial. Worth protecting, Elijah replied carefully. Is that why you're here? Protection? Her eyes searched his. Or is there another reason the humans sent their most skilled negotiator? Elijah maintained his diplomatic composure. We seek understanding before conflict. A noble sentiment, she said, her fingers tracing patterns on the glass. But Zorax didn't cross galaxies for understanding. He came for conquest, and you? Elijah asked. What did you cross galaxies for? Something vulnerable flashed across her features. Truth. Later that cycle, as the Nexians called their days, Zorax reviewed footage of Earth's major cities with his commanders. Their technology appears primitive, Drav observed. Yet something doesn't align with our intelligence reports. The human ambassador speaks with unusual confidence, Zorax agreed, replaying Elijah's statements. As if they hold cards we cannot see. In her private quarters, Lyra accessed restricted files in the Nexian database. Information about previous conquests, about Earth, and about secrets the Empire kept even from commanders like Zorax. Her hands moved swiftly over the control panel, copying data to a hidden device. A soft chime indicated someone at her door. She quickly concealed her activities. Enter, she called. Elijah stepped inside, escorted by a guard who promptly left them alone, an unusual breach of protocol. Ambassador, she said, surprised. This is unexpected. So is finding someone like you among the Nexian command, he replied. You're not fully Nexian, are you? Lyra hesitated, then made a decision. My mother was human, taken during an early exploration mission. I was born in the Empire, raised to serve as a bridge between species. She stepped closer, but bridges can be crossed from either direction. Their conversation extended for hours, moving from diplomatic formalities to personal histories. When their hands accidentally touched, neither pulled away immediately. Meanwhile, Zorax ordered a small strike force to test Earth's defenses. 3 attack vessels descended toward a remote area of the Pacific Ocean. At the Antarctic facility, alarms blared. Incoming hostiles, Chen announced. Shield at 78%. It'll have to do, Maya decided. Activate Quadrant 7. As the Nexian vessels entered Earth's atmosphere, they encountered something unexpected. A field of energy that disrupted their systems. 2 ships spiraled out of control. The third managed to stabilize and retreat. On the Devastator, Zorax received the disturbing report. Impossible, he growled. Their technology cannot be this advanced. Drav looked shaken. Commander, I believe we have been misled about Earth's capabilities. Zorax turned to the viewport, staring at the planet with new respect and growing concern. Find Lyra, I need answers. But Lyra was still with Elijah, their conversation having shifted from guarded exchanges to genuine connection. As warning signals began to sound throughout the ship, they stood close together by the viewing window. Your people are more prepared than anyone suspects, Lyra whispered, her hand finding his. But you don't know everything about what's coming. Then help us, Elijah said, his professional reserve cracking. Help me understand. Understanding may come at a price neither of us is prepared to pay, she replied, but didn't pull away when Elijah leaned closer. As alarms echoed through the Devastator, their lips met in a kiss that crossed species, loyalties, and stars, a dangerous connection that would soon reshape the fate of two civilizations. The hidden Arsenal Maya stood before the assembled world leaders on the secure video conference, her presentation slides displaying the damaged Nexian vessels. Our first defensive measure was successful, she explained, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. The Aurora Shield disabled their navigation systems, but this was merely a scout force. Their main fleet remains positioned beyond Mars. President Omar Mbeki of the African Union leaned forward. And our offensive capabilities? Maya exchanged glances with General Rodriguez before responding. Project Prometheus is ready for deployment. Across screens worldwide, leaders nodded with grim satisfaction. For decades, an international consortium had secretly developed weapons based on the Roswell technology. Weapons that could potentially match even the Nexian armada. Aboard the Devastator, Zorax paced the command deck, fury evident in every movement. How could our intelligence be so wrong? These humans were supposed to be defenseless. Drav stood at attention, visibly uncomfortable. Commander, there's something else. We've lost contact with Lyra. Zorax stopped pacing. Find her. Now. In a rarely used maintenance corridor near the diplomatic quarters, Lyra led Elijah through the labyrinthine interior of the Nexian vessel. The Empire doesn't just conquer for territory, she explained urgently. They harvest worlds for a resource your scientists haven't even discovered yet. Quantum essence. It's what powers our faster-than-light drives, our weapons, everything. And Earth has this essence? Elijah asked, following her through a narrow passageway. More than any world they've encountered, she confirmed. That's why they sent their largest fleet. That's why Zorax won't retreat, no matter what defenses you reveal. Their fingers intertwined as they navigated the dimly lit corridors. Their earlier kiss had broken barriers between them, creating a trust that transcended their different origins. There's a communication array in this section, Lyra said. We can contact your people, warn them about what's really coming. On Earth, Dr. Chen supervised the final calibrations of the Prometheus array, a network of satellites equipped with energy weapons reverse-engineered from the Roswell craft. Target. Lock on the Nexian support vessels, he ordered. Prepare to fire on my command. Maya burst into the control room. Wait. We're receiving a transmission from inside the Nexian command ship. Elijah's face appeared on the main screen, Lyra beside him. Dr. Reyes, General Rodriguez, I'm with Lyra, a Nexian strategic advisor. She has critical information about the invasion. For the next 20 minutes, Lyra detailed the true Nexian capabilities and their vulnerabilities. When the transmission ended, the control room fell silent. If she's telling the truth, Chen said finally, we need to recalibrate everything. And if she's lying? General Rodriguez asked. Maya studied the data Lyra had transmitted. Then we've already lost. On the Devastator, Zorax finally received the report he'd been dreading. The humans possessed technology similar to our own, his science officer confirmed. Analysis suggests Roswell was not their first contact with advanced species. And Lyra? Security footage shows her accessing restricted files, then escorting the human ambassador through unauthorized sections. Zorax's expression hardened. Prepare the primary fleet for atmospheric entry. We end this now. As Nexian warships began moving toward Earth, Elijah and Lyra raced to reach his diplomatic shuttle. If we can get back to Earth, he said, your information could save millions. Lyra paused at an intersection, pulling him close suddenly. If we succeed, I can never return to the Empire. My life there will be over. Elijah cupped her face in his hands. Then begin a new life with us. With me. Their kiss was desperate and deep, a promise amid chaos. When they separated, Lyra's expression had changed to one of resolve. "There's something I must do first," she said. "Something that could change everything." Before Elijah could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Intruder alert. Security breach in diplomatic sector. On Earth, the Prometheus array powered up as Nexian vessels entered the outer atmosphere. Energy beams lanced upward, striking the first wave of ships. Several exploded in brilliant flares. Others spun out of control. But the Devastator and its escort vessels continued their approach, seemingly unaffected by Earth's weapons. "They've adapted already," Chen said, his voice hollow with dread. Maya studied the tactical display, then made a decision. Launch the Aurora fighters. Across Antarctica, hangar doors slid open to reveal sleek aircraft unlike anything publicly known to exist on Earth. Pilots in specialized suits raced to their vessels as the sky above darkened with the approaching Nexian fleet. In the EO, confusion aboard the Devastator, Lyra separated from Elijah, making her way to the ship's core, the quantum essence reactor that powered the entire vessel. As security forces searched for her, she began the delicate process of reprogramming the containment protocols. "For Earth," she whispered, thinking of Elijah, "for a future worth having." As the battle for Earth began in earnest, no one yet realized that the true turning point would come not from weapons or shields, but from the choices of individuals caught between worlds, driven by newfound feelings neither had expected to discover among the stars. Rebellion among stars. The sky over Beijing blazed with the light of atmospheric combat as Aurora fighters engaged Nexian strike craft. Each human vessel, piloted by elite aviators selected from military forces worldwide, carried weapons that would have been classified as science fiction mere days earlier. Captain Jinwei banked her fighter sharply, targeting systems locking onto a Nexian interceptor. "Fox 3, she announced, launching an energy missile that corkscrewed through the air before detonating against the alien craft. "All squadrons, maintain defensive perimeter," General Rodriguez ordered from the Antarctic Command Center. "Keep them away from population centers." Maya studied tactical displays showing the battle unfolding across Earth's upper atmosphere. "The Prometheus array is having minimal effect on their capital ships," she reported. "Their shields have adapted." "What about the intel from Lyra?" Chen asked. "Any vulnerabilities we can exploit?" Before Maya could respond, a new alert sounded. "Incoming transmission from the diplomatic shuttle," a communications officer announced. Elijah's face appeared on screen, his expression urgent. "Dr. Reyes, we have a situation. Lyra's still aboard the Devastator. She said she needed to do something to help." On the Nexian flagship, Lyra worked feverishly at the quantum essence reactor controls. The vast chamber hummed with energy, casting her in an eerie blue light. As she completed a complex sequence, the reactor's rhythm changed subtly. "Stop right there," commanded a voice behind her. She turned to find Zorax, weapon drawn. "I trusted you, Lyra. I made you my advisor despite your mixed blood." "You trusted me to help you conquer worlds," she replied, continuing her work despite the weapon aimed at her. "But I've seen too many planets fall, too many civilizations erased." Zorax moved closer, his expression conflicted. "This isn't just about conquest. The Empire needs quantum essence to survive. Our homeworld is dying. There are other ways," Lyra insisted. "Cooperation, not subjugation. The humans have technology we never suspected. Together our species could find solutions." "And this human ambassador?" Zorax asked. "Is he the reason for your betrayal?" Lyra's hands paused over the controls. "Elijah showed me something I'd forgotten existed, compassion, hope." Her voice softened. "Love." For a moment, doubt flickered across Zorax's features. Then the ship rocked violently as Aurora fighters scored a direct hit on the outer hull. "Commander," Drav's voice came through the communication system. "The human fighters are breaching our defensive screen. And there's something else. A disturbance in the reactor core." Zorax looked at the reactor, then at Lyra, understanding dawning. "What have you done?" In the diplomatic shuttle racing back toward Earth, Elijah received an unexpected transmission. Lyra's face appeared on his screen, the reactor room visible behind her. "Elijah," she said, her voice filled with emotion, "I've reconfigured the Devastator's quantum essence reactor. In 30 minutes, it will emit a pulse that will temporarily disable the entire Nexian fleet. Then get out of there," he urged. Use an escape pod. I can't, she replied, glancing over her shoulder. The reconfiguration must be maintained manually to prevent the system from resetting. Someone has to stay. Elijah's heart constricted. No. There has to be another way. In Antarctica, Maya and her team intercepted the transmission. If she's right about this pulse, Chen said, it could give us the window we need to deploy the Aurora shield at full power. We need to get her off that ship, Elijah insisted. His diplomatic composure crumbling, Maya made a quick decision. Captain Wei, new mission parameters. Proceed to these coordinates and prepare for extraction. Aboard the Devastator, the confrontation between Lyra and Zorax had taken an unexpected turn. Instead of arresting her, he was now studying the reactor modifications himself. This reconfiguration, he said slowly, it won't just disable our weapons, it will expose our fleet to the humans' defenses. Yes, Lyra admitted. Many will die unless you order a retreat. You would sacrifice your own people? I'm trying to save both our peoples, she countered. The Empire has conquered enough. It's time for change. The ship shuddered again as more Aurora fighters broke through the defensive screen. Warning lights flashed across control panels. Commander? Drav's voice came again, more urgent. Multiple breaches, and our long-range sensors detect a massive energy buildup from Earth. They're preparing something big. Zorax stared at Lyra for a long moment, his internal conflict visible. Finally, he activated his communication device. This is Commander Zorax to all vessels. Prepare for emergency dimensional shift. We are retreating. Lyra's eyes widened in shock. You're ordering a retreat? I was sent to conquer a primitive world, Zorax said quietly. Not to sacrifice our armada against an adversary of equal strength. And perhaps... He hesitated. Perhaps conquest isn't always the answer. Alarms blared throughout the ship as Nexian vessels began shifting out of normal space. But Lyra knew the Devastator couldn't leave, not with the reactor. Modifications in place. You need to evacuate the ship, she told Zorax. The reactor can't sustain a dimensional shift in this state. Outside, Captain Wei's Aurora fighter approached the Devastator, dodging defensive fire. I have visual on the target, she reported. Preparing for extraction approach. In the Antarctic Command Center, the tactical display showed Nexian vessels vanishing one by one as they retreated. They're running, Chen said in disbelief. Not all of them, Maya observed, pointing to the Devastator still holding position. The flagship can't leave. On the Devastator, Zorax made the most difficult decision of his military career. Attention all personnel. Abandon ship. Repeat. All hands abandon ship. As evacuation pods launched from the massive vessel, Zorax turned to Lyra. Go. Return to your human. I will maintain the reactor. Commander, I have led 17 conquests, he said, his voice heavy with realization. Perhaps it's time I led something else. A change. Captain Wei's voice came through Lyra's communicator. Extraction team in position. We have a lock on your signal. Tears in her eyes, Lyra placed her hand on Zorax's arm. Your people will need a new leader. One who understands that the old ways must change. Their eyes met in silent understanding before Lyra raced toward the extraction point. As she ran through emptying corridors, she felt the ship beginning to break apart around her. The reactor was reaching critical phase. Elijah watched anxiously from the diplomatic shuttle, now safely within Earth's atmosphere. Do you have her? He asked repeatedly. Stand by, Captain Wei responded, her fighter maneuvering through an opening in the Devastator's hull. Target acquired. Extraction in progress. As Wei's fighter emerged from the Devastator with Lyra aboard, the massive alien flagship began to glow with building energy. The quantum pulse Lyra had initiated was reaching its peak. All units clear the area, General Rodriguez ordered. Prepare for full Aurora shield deployment. The Devastator erupted in a sphere of brilliant blue energy that expanded outward, washing over the remaining Nexian vessels. As the pulse reached them, their systems failed, leaving them drifting and defenseless. On Earth, Maya watched as the Aurora shield enveloped the planet in a protective embrace, its energy harmonizing with the quantum pulse to create an impenetrable barrier. The battle for Earth had ended, but for Elijah and Lyra, reunited on the Antarctic base as the sky cleared of combat, their story, and the new relationship between Earth and the stars, was just beginning. Beyond the horizon, 6 months after what the world now called the Nexian incursion, the United Nations headquarters in New York hosted an unprecedented gathering. Representatives from 17 formerly conquered worlds sat alongside Earth's leaders, the first galactic concord taking shape. Maya stood at a window overlooking the East River, her Nobel Prize ceremony still fresh in her memory. The paper she'd published on quantum essence had revolutionized Earth's understanding of physics and energy production. Admiring the view, Dr. Reyes, President Mbeki approached, his ceremonial robes marking him as the first chair of the Concord. Admiring how quickly we've adapted, she replied. A year ago, most humans didn't believe alien life existed. Now we're hosting an interstellar conference. Necessity accelerates evolution, the president observed. Speaking of which, our new ambassador is about to address the assembly. In the grand chamber, Elijah Kendrick stood at the podium, the blue and green insignia of the Earth Coalition behind him. The assembled delegates fell silent as he began to speak. Distinguished representatives, honored guests, we gather today not as conquerors or conquered, but as equals. The Nexian Empire's fall has created both opportunity and responsibility. In the front row, Lyra watched him with pride. She wore formal attire that blended Earth and Nexian design, symbolizing her unique position as liaison between worlds. The past months had been challenging as she adjusted to life on Earth, but Elijah had been her constant support. Earth stands ready to share our technology and resources, Elijah continued. The Aurora Shield now protects not only our world, but can be extended to all members of the Conquered. Together we will ensure that no empire rises to threaten our collective freedom again. At the Antarctic facility, now expanded into Earth's primary spaceport, Dr. Chen supervised the construction of the first quantum essence-powered interstellar vessel. Built using a combination of Earth ingenuity and technologies shared by the liberated worlds, the ship would soon embark on a mission of exploration rather than conquest. Final calibrations complete, reported his assistant. The Horizon is ready for her maiden voyage. Chen smiled at the gleaming craft. Inform Captain Wei. Launch is scheduled for tomorrow. In a quiet garden outside the UN complex, Elijah and Lyra found a moment alone after the day's proceedings. Cherry blossoms drifted around them in the spring breeze as they walked hand in hand along a secluded path. You were magnificent, Lyra said, reaching up to straighten his tie. Every world's representative was impressed. Even the Centaurians? They looked skeptical about the Defense Pact. Especially the Centaurians, she assured him. They've lived under Nexian rule for generations. Freedom takes some getting used to. Elijah stopped beneath a flowering tree, turning to face her. Speaking of getting used to things, how are you adjusting to Earth? To us? Lyra's luminescent skin glowed softly in the dappled sunlight. Every day brings new discoveries. Her fingers intertwined with his, some more pleasant than others. Their relationship had blossomed amid the chaos of reconstruction and diplomatic missions. Despite the challenges of their different biologies and backgrounds, they had found in each other something rare and precious, a bridge between worlds that was built on genuine connection. I have something for you, Elijah said, reaching into his pocket. He withdrew a small box. It's an Earth tradition. A question. Really? Lyra's eyes widened as he opened the box to reveal a ring set with a stone that seemed to contain swirling galaxies. Quantum essence, stabilized in crystalline form. Lyra of two worlds, he said softly. Would you join your life with mine, as Earth joins with the stars? Tears shimmered in her eyes as she nodded. Yes, she whispered. Across all worlds and galaxies, yes. Their kiss sealed a promise that transcended species and planetary boundaries. Across the galaxy, on a remote world that had once been the Nexian homeworld, Zorak stood before the newly formed Council of Reformation. His survival of the Devastator's destruction had been deemed miraculous by some, strategic by others. Now he used his influence to guide his people toward a new path. The age of conquest is over, he declared to the assembled Nexians. We depleted our world pursuing dominance when we should have sought harmony. Now, Earth offers us a place in their conquered, not as subjects but as partners. Some council members muttered dissent, but most listened attentively. The Empire's fall had forced a reckoning long overdue. I have seen what humans can achieve when threatened, Zorax continued, but I have also witnessed their capacity for compassion. They could have destroyed us completely. Instead, they offer alliance. In Earth orbit, the Horizon prepared for its historic launch. Captain Jinwei conducted final checks with her crew, which included specialists from 3 different worlds. All systems nominal, reported her Proxima navigator. Quantum drive at full capacity. Wei settled into the command chair, thinking of how far they had come since those desperate aerial battles 6 months earlier. "Set course for the Andromeda Galaxy," she ordered. "Let's see what's out there." As the ship engaged its quantum drive, the stars themselves seemed to bend around it. The horizon vanished in a flash of light, carrying humanity's hopes beyond the boundaries of the Milky Way. Back in New York, Maya received an urgent message from the observatory, where everything had begun. New signals were being detected from a previously unexplored sector, signals that matched neither Earth nor Nexian patterns. "It seems we're not done with first contacts," she murmured, already planning her return to New Mexico. At the Concord reception that evening, Elijah and Lyra danced beneath crystal chandeliers, representatives from a dozen worlds watching the human and hybrid couple with varying degrees of curiosity and approval. "Do you ever regret it?" Elijah asked softly. "Choosing Earth? Choosing me?" Lyra's hand rested against his chest, feeling his heartbeat. "I chose life over destruction, hope over conquest." She looked into his eyes. "You showed me what was possible when different worlds come together." How could I regret that? As dawn broke over a new day, Earth continued its journey through the cosmos, no longer isolated, no longer unprepared. The invasion that had been meant to conquer had instead liberated not just Earth, but countless worlds from the cycle of domination. And in a garden where cherry blossoms fell like gentle snow, 2 figures from different stars embraced the future they would build together, proof that even across the vast gulfs of space, connection was possible. Love was possible, beyond the horizon of known space. New adventures awaited a humanity that had at last found its place among the stars, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as explorers and peacemakers in a universe far more complex and beautiful than they had ever imagined.